The hosts of Bracketology are experts in nothing. They claim no advanced knowledge or profound insights. Instead, they are just three judgmental idiots who really like to bloviate their own opinions whenever given the chance. Take what they have to say with a grain of salt, or not at all. You'll probably be better off that way.
All right, fellas. So Bracketology has done fantastic. And we have afforded to buy each one of us our own huge mansion. We are living comfortably. We can easily pay the taxes. But when each of you buy your mansion, you are told and given a magical key. And it will unlock one of three doors in this mansion. Okay? Once you unlock one of the doors, the other two doors disappear. You do not have access to them. You with me so far?
How come I don't have access to all the rooms in my house?
Yeah. What's this wasted square footage I'm paying for?
Think about it like the room of requirement, right? So once you choose one door, the other two rooms disappear. They do not impact the size or shape of your house.
Okay.
Okay. So in the first room is a magical library that contains literally everything that has ever been written down. This could be passwords. This could be diaries. If it ever was written anywhere, you have access to it. And there is one book that's kind of sentient. It serves as like your librarian. And that librarian will help you find whatever it is you're looking for in this room. Okay? You there on the first one?
Sure.
Second room is a room full of mirrors. And this mirror will let you look through it, or these mirrors will let you look through it to any mirror in the world.
Oh, that's creepy.
Any reflective surface in the world. You can look in and see what's happening. Now, the people on the other side, they don't see you. They don't know that you're looking. You can just observe through the mirrors. Third room.
Even like a little bit of water, that's kind of reflective.
Yeah. If it's reflective, you can look through it. It's kind of like, isn't there a DC villain, Mirror Man or whatever?
Mirror
Isn't he
Master?
a Flash? Mirror Master.
Yeah, he's a part of the Flash. Flash.
So think about that, but just with the ability to see.
Yeah, can't actually travel through it.
Exactly. Now, the third room has a pool, and not just a pool, but it is a pool where you dive in and you can resurface at any body or place of water that is big enough to hold you, right? So you could go on vacations, but you couldn't just appear in somebody's like drinking glass, if that makes sense. Exactly. But you can go anywhere in the world as long as you dive to the bottom of the pool, and then at any point you want, you can come back by diving back into the water and you reappear in your pool, in your home.
Okay.
Which one of the three rooms are you choosing?
I mean, I think for me, the easiest answer, the most appropriate to me as a person, as a human, is probably the library. For multiple reasons. One, I think they all have downsides, right? I immediately started thinking of monkey paws, which is the looking through mirrors thing can get real creepy real fast. Don't like that. The traveling through water, again, a little bit terrifying. The library one is passwords and, things that probably shouldn't be read again ever. So there's a little bit of a temptation there. However, I would be much more interested in using the library to see if there are any alien scripts that have been written down, and I would prove the existence of aliens. I could be able to see how much George R.R. Martin hasn't wrote of Winds of Winter.
That might be the only way you could finish the series.
Yeah. I could see, things that people have written that, they should be famous for, but just didn't get out there. Things like that. So, yeah, I think I'd go with the library.
Okay. Scootimus.
Now, before you answer, I do want to give you one possibility in your mind, because this is all I could think about. If you do the mirror thing, we said a small amount of water that's reflective also counts. That means that you could look up at Dan's butt while he's pooping.
That's true. You could get all the poop porn you wanted.
That's a hell of a monkey paw. Can I only, with the mirror thing, can I only see or can I hear as well?
You can hear as well.
That's not how mirrors work.
Sound waves hit the mirror
with enough force for it to vibrate the sound back.
The way mirrors work also generally doesn't include looking through it to a different mirror. So,
well, so think about it like this, assholes. When you're in a police investigation room, they have the two-way mirror. The people on the other side of the mirror watching the investigation can hear what's going on.
Did you hear about the bathroom? I don't remember if it was in Asia somewhere or Germany where they had that. Like, it was like a set of urinals and then it was two-way mirrors. So people could come up and look at themselves in the mirror on the outside, and then you're just staring out at them as you pee.
I think that for the sake, I think about what I could have, where I could potentially have the most impact. And I think the mirror one is intriguing for that. You could be one heck of a journalist breaking news stories left and right that the public needs to know about. That's a quick way to
get assassinated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that might be true. You could see it coming.
That's true.
Yeah, the mirror thing is intriguing. There's an old saying about being a fly on the wall for certain conversations. You just be, living that dream, basically.
Yeah, there's also the saying about being a fly on shit. So,
well, some of the people whose conversations I would want to observe are pretty shitty. So,
what about you, Dan? What would you choose?
This worked out way better than I anticipated because we each went our own direction. I would choose the pool. Being able to save airfare on vacations, or just I've had a shitty day and I want to go watch the sunset in Hawaii. That sounds fucking rad. And
I could see you now just popping up in a fountain right outside of the Commander's Stadium, just
like you drowned halfway
on
through.
game day.
Yeah.
I do think the only issue with the teleportation, the only issue with this scenario in general is that if we make any kind of money ever from this podcast, we're going to make like a little community, not have 3 giant mansions. You know what I mean? Like, we're definitely
like small homes,
not like small homes, but like just our own neighborhood where we can.
Your problem with all of this is that the house type we were assigned isn't realistic.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wants a compound of normal, entry-level houses.
Yeah, 2 to 3 bedrooms, a couple bathrooms.
He wants tiny homes so that he can reach the top cabinets.
Ooh, but how cool would it be? Because we could have like a little community center in the middle that has a recording studio for us.
You want a bracketology compound.
How fucking cool would that be, though?
On Bracketology Boulevard.
Yeah.
Get the city to rename a street for us.
No, we can make our own city. Bracketologyville. Then we could what?
Bracketologyburg.
I guess that's probably more accurate. No, Ville, because it's like a village.
Okay, fair enough.
They have meanings behind the suffixes. Generally speaking, bracketology circle, bracketology, Colorado.
Oh, you're just assuming that it would be in Colorado, dude. If we're dreaming, like, this shit's gonna be recorded in Finland or Hawaii. or
Like, I'm down with all of that. Hawaii
Yeah.
loves pineapples. I like pineapples. We're good. Little ukuleles, you know what I mean?
yeah. I've
Go
got
hang out by the
4
ocean.
ukuleles in my house.
You're practically a native.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to Bracketology, the podcast that definitively decides all things tournament bracket style. I am your future stepdaddy, Scott Grove.
Oh,
I didn't have one prepared this time, and that's what happened. I'm sorry.
Can we take that one again? Or
Nope.
no,
Locked
just
in.
yeah, just move forward.
I
Painfully.
am your future hermit neighbor, Matt Robinson. I forgot I had to add my name in there.
And I am incredibly grossed out by this opening, Dan Default.
This week, we continue with round 2, part 2 of our supportive 16 as we continue to determine the best TV mom. We have some matchups. Where do we want to start?
I think we bounce around a little bit on this one. 'Cause
Okay.
I think we have a main event, and I think we saved that one for last.
All right. So what's bottom of the undercard?
I mean, let's go Mary Winchester versus Sharon Osbourne.
Okay. Do you feel like that's the easy one for you?
Well, I don't know if it's easy per se, but I do think that it's the first one that my eyes landed on, trying to avoid the main event.
Okay. Do you have any strong feelings about it one way or another?
I don't, because as soon as I said it, so Mary Winchester, the mother of the Winchesters, matriarch of the Winchester family, some may
From
say.
Supernatural.
Oh, yes, in Supernatural. Not from the Winchester house with a bunch of stairs that go nowhere, but from a TV show. She's a mom. She has kids. She died real quick when the kids were young,
Very
which is
early in
unfortunate,
the show.
but had a big impact on those around her, had a big impact on her kids, had a big impact on her in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Her dying. So then you have Sharon Osbourne,
Who is, of course, from Seventh Heaven.
naturally. I've been watching a lot of British TV shows lately, and the Osbournes keep like popping up on them randomly. So I have gotten more exposure to Sharon Osbourne as of late. Only real life mom. We talked about that. So she has kids that she helped raise, which made her their mom.
Dude, you have been talking for 4 minutes and haven't said a thing.
So,
Dan, do you have any strong feelings about this matchup?
yeah, I think, look, Mrs. Winchester, her sacrifice was hugely impactful. But when you're talking about mother figures that sacrifice themselves, it's not as impactful as like Harry Potter's mom, who literally saved his life.
It's the same. It's
not
damn near
the same.
identical.
No,
She died to save Sam.
Yeah,
only
but she
difference-
also protected Harry Potter for the rest of his life
And so did
because of
Mary.
that charm.
The only reason
Mary Winchester, when she came back,
she
there
protected them.
there was some weird situations when she came back.
Sure.
On the other side of this argument, Sharon Osbourne, again, the only actual real mom portrayed in this bracket, she had to raise 2 kids whilst dealing with Ozzy fucking Osbourne, which could not have been easy. First, as a young man, like, I don't know if you all know the crazy shit that Ozzy did, especially like during the 80s and 90s and 70s. But you can see the ramifications of those decisions now with how fucking nutso that dude is. And her children, to have come from such a level of wealth, are pretty well-rounded and not dickish people, right? which I think we talked about earlier on the bracket. It's a pretty redeeming quality and shows the parenting that she had to do, because in a lot of situations, I feel like she was fighting those battles without the support of Ozzy in that.
Yeah, but has Sharon Osbourne ever gone through an ethereal portal into an alternative universe where Michael's brought on the apocalypse? Like, no. It's not even close.
And she does, and Mary Winchester does all of that, knowing how difficult it is to get back into that life and how hard it can be on family, which is why she gave up that life to begin with, to create the family. And realistically, to go back to your comparison to Harry Potter, Sam was supposed to die that night. The actual bargain that was struck to save John Winchester's life was that Mary Winchester would give her second child to a demon. That demon showed up and he said, the only thing, you just can't interfere. So what does she do? She interferes, and then she dies. Sam stays alive, et cetera, et cetera. There's too much. And yes, Sharon did do a lot of that and did, quote unquote, have to deal with Ozzy's ness, but
She chose that.
It's not like he was really there for the first teenage years of their kids' lives. So it was just her, and she got to influence them. And I think that speaks volumes to what she did as a mother. But she didn't die multiple times.
Because unlike every other contestant, she is a real mother in real life.
Hey,
Look,
Right?
every
People don't
contestant
travel through ethereal portals in the real world.
as far as
every
you know,
contestant has their pros and cons. Her con, she's real.
her pro, she's real.
Yeah.
You know,
Works out both
goes
ways.
goes on both sides. Like everybody's going to have obstacles, like a bucket thrown at them, and then they're going to have to determine what to do with that bucket. Do you punch it? Do you slide out of the way? With Mary Winchester, she punched it.
Hard.
She punched that bucket. Then she kicked the bucket. Then she came back. She punched the bucket again.
Let's do some votes.
I'm gonna go Mary.
Dan?
The
Yeah, I'm
Winchester
going
mommy.
Sharon.
I'm going to go. I called for the vote and I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, well, I'm like, what is this?
I'm going to go Mary.
Okay.
I'm going to go Mary.
No shade towards Sharon. Sharon, but
I mean, she was raising her kids while fighting Ozzy's demons. So,
you're not wrong. But
yeah.
those aren't real demons, and Mary Winchester moves on. Where are we going next?
Next, we're going to go. Let's go South one. Let's hit Claire Huxtable versus Linda Belcher.
We've got Mrs. Huxtable. We've got Linda Belcher.
Claire Huxtable being from The Cosby Show, Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers.
And we are just taking in the fictional character, not her not protecting those children from Bill Cosby.
Correct, because that's not a part of the show.
Okay.
Also, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, another mom who just randomly lost a child mid-season or mid-series.
How common was that in those shows?
That did happen to Cosby too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, did it?
Well, I mean, look, things happen all the time. Kitty Foreman, you didn't bring that up when her daughter suddenly changed.
Her daughter went to prison and came back with plastic surgery.
All right, Claire Huxtable versus Linda Belcher. What do we think? Claire is an incredibly intelligent woman, lawyer, career woman.
Set a great example for her kids. All of her kids are, strong adults. They turn into strong adults, the ones that we actually get to see grow up.
Linda Belcher is supporting her entrepreneurial husband and has a role in the business as well, though.
Yeah.
She's an entrepreneur in her own right.
And I do love how she goes all out for holidays and the antics that follow that.
Mm-hmm.
But man, Claire Huxtable had so many good life lessons in that show, I don't think Mrs. Belcher had that kind of stabilizing force. I mean, she did, but not like Mrs. Huxtable.
There's a lot of chaos in that house.
Yeah.
I do think and obviously they're not up against each other, but I think that it would be untoward of us to not compare Linda Belcher to the other adult Sunday animation domination mothers that exist, right? So Lois Griffin, Marge Simpson that we have on the brackets.
Mm-hmm.
Both Lois and Marge, we determined, Marge being a little bit better, but not the best moms, generally speaking, right? I haven't watched a lot of Bob's Burgers. In fact, zero. However,
We'll fix that.
what I do know about it is that she's not the same kind of mom as those other animation domination moms.
No.
Right? Like she's actually there for her kids. She has real conversations. It's almost like Peggy from King of the Hill,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where she's a supporting character in that it's not her name's not the one that's on the show title, but
Sure.
she is such a big character that and has such profound impact on the other characters in that show that it speaks volumes to who she is. But quick argument against myself. I did look up Claire Huxtable, and the first question, you know how Google will have those questions?
Yeah, like the AI generated stuff these days.
People also ask,
Right.
why is Claire Huxtable so popular? And this is from Wikipedia, so take that for what it means. Claire is revered as one of television's most beloved mothers. As one of television's first working mothers, the character's profound influence on African American women and female lawyers in television has been dubbed the Claire Huxtable effect. So to have such a lasting impact on not just the kids within her own story, but television as a whole, I think that's a pretty big deal.
Well, not just
again-
television, but like our actual culture.
Yeah, she was very much a part of that, of black-led sitcoms and TV shows in the 80s and in the 90s that now that's just a part of regular TV, but before there wasn't a lot of.
Yeah.
But again, I think we need to remember something that we talked about in the last episode. And well, we didn't talk about it. I said it, and then you guys apparently forgot. We're not talking most iconic mom. We're talking best mom, right?
But
like
I
we're
think
not the impact that the character had on our IRL culture is not. I mean, not necessarily. No, at least not all the aspects you're talking about reflective of whether or not good mom.
so. Here's what I'm gonna say: like Moira Rose is an iconic character, but her iconic level does not stem from her, like, you know, motherhood. But Claire Huxtable absolutely stems from her motherhood, and you know, if you really wanted to draw that line in the sand, I guess you could say being a lawyer doesn't really count as a mother, but it does set the example for her kids. And
Of being a strong working woman, right?
yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure.
So I think that still counts. So yes, I think the icon factor is a factor for Claire Huxtable in this case. I'm ready to vote, gentlemen.
All right, go for it, Dan.
Do it
That's
then.
Claire Huxtable,
Coward.
100%.
Matt, how about for you?
Did Claire ever talk about Puddin' Pops?
No.
What does that have to do with anything? Pudding pops are delicious regardless. Don't act like you wouldn't eat one if someone handed it to you right now.
Oh, that was just a Bill Cosby thing. It wasn't even a part of the show. I thought it was part of the show.
Yeah,
No.
he advertised for Jell-O.
Yeah, I thought that he was. Yeah, all right. I think I'll go with Linda Belcher then. What?
It's just a weird segue from Puddin' Pops to
Yeah.
Linda Belcher.
I don't understand that at all.
I mean, I just think that there's a lot. I'm trying to take myself out of it because I really didn't watch The Cosby Show a ton. It wasn't one of my favorite shows. I do think that Claire Huxtable was influential. Like I remembered her. Like as soon as we talked about her, right, I can envision who Claire Huxtable is in my mind. But I feel like there's a lot more impact as a TV mom from Linda Belcher, at least in the people that I know. So that's
Interesting.
What I'm gonna go with.
Sounds like you know some interesting people. I'm going to say Claire Huxtable
Thank you.
on this one. Yeah.
It's not even that close, guys.
I mean,
Claire
it is
Huxtable
kind of.
was a tremendous mom.
I'm not taking away anything about her momness. I'm just look. Hey, quick sidebar, Dan. Dan, this is a show about entertainment, and if we always just agree, it's not very much fun. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Up next, we have Jill Taylor versus Catelyn Stark. You're welcome, Matt.
Thank you.
Jill Taylor from Home Improvement, Catelyn Stark from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Jill Taylor is the rock
Yes, you're right.
of that show. She is the consistency throughout Home Improvement. She is the one that keeps Tim grounded.
I disagree.
Disagree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
She enables Tim.
No,
to
I'm not
be-
saying that either. Wilson is the rock of the show. Wilson is who keeps Tim Taylor grounded. He's the one who keeps him centered. And Wilson is what you're talking about.
No, Wilson's just the one that helps Tim to understand how he fucked up. Jill's the one who says, you fucked up. And then there's got to be a come to Jesus almost every episode.
Yeah, Jill says you fucked up. Tim goes outside mad, starts ringing up the garden hose all aggressive. Wilson finishes flipping over the owl he's grilling or whatever weird shit he's doing in his backyard and goes, "What's going on, neighbor?" It sounds like you're rolling that up awfully aggressively, and then teaches him a life lesson.
Yeah,
But he
Wilson
wouldn't
was
have the
the
opportunity
main.
to teach if it wasn't for Jill.
Sure, I guess.
No,
All of that being said,
here's an
Jill-
interesting thought. Jill
Is it?
Jill Taylor actually does do a lot to keep her children safe, especially from Tim's harebrained ideas. Like I remember an episode where he was fixing the floor right beside the front door, and there was just this huge hole. Any one of his kids could have just fallen right down the hole. Catelyn Stark also tried to keep her kids alive, but failed on
Miserably.
a few of them lived, right? Arya, Sansa, Jon, which wasn't
Half
her
of
actual
them
son.
lived, and then half of them died. Horrible, painful deaths.
But it's also kind of the times.
I'd be in jail if I had that hit rate.
It's a sign of the times. Is that what you said?
Yeah, they were in medieval times fighting wars. People die in war. And she did her best, including her, to protect and guide her children through circumstances far worse than I think anybody else on this list.
Yeah, but I feel like Catelyn, the real problem for Catelyn is that she, what's the right way to say this? She lets her emotions and her circumstances overcome her so many ways. If it wasn't for looking for revenge, if it wasn't for defecting, if it wasn't for, doing all these things, then the Red Wedding wouldn't have happened because they wouldn't have been that desperate to get Robb married. Right?
No, it wasn't. That was the pact that they made with the phrase to cross the river to go fight. They had to do that, and then Robb.
They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that at all.
They had to cross at the Twins. That's the only place to cross.
They could have not marched.
So fuck Ned and fuck Sansa and fuck Arya.
Ned's already dead. Send in an assassin to get fucking Sansa out. And they
He
thought Arya
wasn't
was
dead when they first started marching.
Nerd check. Moving on.
That's the only reason she gets into it is because they kill Ned and take Sansa hostage, basically.
Yeah, it was when they captured Ned that she got into it. She was in it before that because
look,
the
Jill
Lannisters.
Taylor gets my vote.
Okay.
Jill Taylor gets my vote.
God. Catelyn Stark gets my vote, but it doesn't matter because you guys suck.
I thought watching Game of Thrones sucked, but listen to the two of you bitch about it was awful.
I didn't bitch. I was just trying to show Dan his wrongness.
It's a tough
right.
hurdle.
That moves Jill Taylor on and gets us into our last matchup of the day. The main event, in my opinion, of this episode. Vivian Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air versus Joyce Byers from The Stranger Things, The Upside Down, The Demogorgon, the other bad things.
Can I ask a couple of preliminary questions about this matchup?
I guess.
Sure.
So
7.
They have rebooted The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right?
Correct.
Vivian Banks still a character in that show? I have not seen it.
I have no idea.
I have also not seen it, so I'm not taking that into account in any way.
Okay, that was the question. We are just avoiding the reboot. We're only looking at the original.
That's all I know.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
All right, perfect.
All right, so Vivian Banks, Joyce Byers, which of you have a strong opinion about this one?
I kind of do, but it's not. It's a little. It's a bit of an alternative opinion. You two seem very hype about this matchup, like it's the main event, and I don't think it's a. I think this is a squash match.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, there's little to no debate in my mind about this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that they're.
Care to elaborate?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think that they're both incredible mothers. I think that I lean one direction more than the other direction, but I again can be swayed. So I do enjoy Stranger Things. I like watching it. I think it's fun. I think that Joyce is not just a throwaway, stereotypical mom from the 80s that has to work multiple jobs to get by, and dad's not in the picture, and once the kid's old enough, he has to start working to try to help out. And she's not just a mom like what's her face's mom in the show, right? Or what one of the other kids. One of the other kids' mom is very much just like generic 80s mom.
Sure.
Joyce isn't that. Joyce very much is a fighter. She's a main character. So even though the show is about the kids, it's also about Joyce, and it's also about the sheriff, right? And it's also about all of these other things and characters along the way. Joyce is clearly a big part to that. I think what pushes me in the other direction and makes me lean towards Vivian Banks is that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was probably a defining show for my my teenage years into my young adulthood. Watching the way that she not only interacts with her kids and with her husband, but also with Will, who she basically adopts, right? Even though Will and Uncle Phil have a lot more touching moments, Vivian Banks has a tremendous amount of influence over Will and his cousins, which is clear. We talked about this in the second episode from this bracket. If you look at the end of the show, by the time she is done parenting Carlton and Ashley and the other one that I can't remember off the top of my head, they are good people. They are good kids. And not only is she good to them, she's good to their friends, right? When Jazzy Jeff comes over with Will, it's not Vivian that's throwing him out.
Vivian has thrown out DJ Jazzy
but
Jeff.
not every time. Normally
Not
it's Uncle
every
Phil.
time, but she definitely did throw him out.
But I think that Vivian just had too much of an impact or an influence on me for me to vote against her, which is why I say Vivian Banks kind of edges out Joyce in this particular matchup to me. I don't know. I'll let y'all talk now.
So I'm coming at this with kind of an opposite view here, because yes, Vivian Banks is a beloved mom, and she did raise her kids to be well-adjusted, if not affluent, children, right? Into adults, good, well-rounded adults. And I think that there's a lot to be said to that. But I also think that she did not have nearly, even remotely close to the obstacles that Joyce Byers had. Joyce Byers was a single mom, raising 2 kids on her own, fighting to make
fourth kid too. Sorry,
fighting to make, ends meet. Her house was the house that everybody went to play Dungeons and Dragons. So she was kind of looking after all of these kids. And that was before shit hit the fan. Once shit hit the fan, she went into like feral protect her child mode, unlike outside of Catelyn Stark, any other mom on this list. And she did not give a shit what anybody thought. She was going to save her kids regardless of the price, regardless of the rumors, regardless of how crazy it made her seem. She had one driving force and motivation, and that was being a good mom. And it's not like it was her neglect that led to these things, right? It was complete freak circumstance that pulled her and her family into these situations.
So, who are you voting for?
Oh, Joyce Byers, 100%. Look, and I love Vivian Banks. I love that show. It was a very integral part of my childhood experience. But if we're talking about best mom, I think Joyce did more with less.
I think so. I'm looking at the Fresh Prince fandom, so the Fresh Prince wiki. Vivian earned her PhD at UCLA. She met Philip Banks, who was also attending law school. They became engaged on an episode of Soul Train, which is just an insanely cool way of getting engaged. At some point, she was hired by an unnamed university to teach English literature. Like, she's incredibly smart. She's clearly successful. There's a lot, and it may be, I don't know. I guess I just lean that direction.
Did she fight a Demogorgon to save her kids?
Well, there was the one episode, but it's lost.
Yeah, guy. I mean, like I said, I didn't even see this as that much of a debate. One of these parents, I don't think that we can make an argument that Mary Winchester went through an ethereal. Thank you. I lost the word for a second. Ethereal portal to an apocalyptic world, and put her through, and then not put Joyce Byers through. I mean,
yeah, but I will
Joyce
go back.
Byers saved the world, and that was just a bonus because she was just trying to save her son.
But again, I will go back to an argument that I made in the last round, which is that yes, while Joyce does put a lot of, she abandons most material things, right, to be able to save her son Will, her other son kind of gets shit on during that whole first season and even into the second season. Like, the kid
but that doesn't
clearly
have
has
much
depression.
to do with Joyce.
He's her son. Like, I mean this in the nicest way possible, and I don't want anybody to think that you shouldn't do whatever you need to be able to save your son from a life or death situation with the Demogorgon. But One kid's been missing for weeks. One kid's there and is clearly going through it. Maybe don't ignore the kid that's there.
I don't think she ignored the kid.
I do. I
don't.
absolutely do.
I
she
think that-
didn't go to work. She just sat there, put up lights in her room, in the living room.
Because
right?
she found a way to communicate with her child.
And during all of this, her son, who is still there, is going off and doing whatever the fuck happens, and she doesn't know anything that's going on. She is not paying attention to the kid that is still there. That is not very motherly to me.
And what do you think Vivian Banks would have done in that situation?
She'd have brought the other kid along.
She would have had her butler help.
But that's the circumstance that she has. Like, I don't think that. And again, maybe it's rose-tinted glasses a little bit here because I have such an affinity towards the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But realistically, I feel like that is a huge gap in Joyce Byers' character. Is yes, she's willing to sacrifice everything to get her son back, including her other son.
But she didn't sacrifice her other son.
Because her other son
and when
got lucky.
her son realized that it was Will that was communicating and she wasn't just crazy, he was
on the
right,
team.
Yeah, he was right there with her, doing everything he could to.
But does that not say a lot that every time she brought it up, right? It's Will. Her other son's like, all right, you're crazy, Mom. I'm leaving.
Because
because it is crazy.
They have a lack of
your
trust.
son's disappeared and there's an entire upside down universe and you're communicating through fucking Halloween lights. Yeah. Come on, dude. Like, who is going to believe that? I think that speaks to Joyce and how she persevered through that and was right and saved her son.
What if she wasn't right? Let's just throw that out there.
But she was, so that's an irrelevant question.
It's irrelevant.
Same, the exact same fucking kind of question that you just asked about Vivian Banks.
Yeah, but I was making that facetiously. But
and
you could say, what if Vivian Banks wasn't super, wealthy? We don't know, and it doesn't matter because that is not the parameters of this conversation.
The whole time, they weren't wealthy all the time. They didn't.
They
always
were
have
wealthy well before any of their children were born.
They show flashbacks
to when they were young,
when she was pregnant with her first child, living in an apartment, and he just got offered a role as a judge.
Okay,
right? Like it's not like it doesn't come up, and she's still there, and she's still up. I feel like y'all are. I feel like y'all are. You're ignoring an entire piece of neglect that is Joyce Byers' character.
Okay, and I could say the same thing about Mary Winchester abandoning her children for...
That didn't matter.
I'm just... dude, I love Vivian Banks. Don't get me wrong.
It sounds like you don't.
But if I want one of those people fighting for me, it's going to be Joyce Byers.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think Vivian's going after earrings. She's going after hair. Joyce is going to...
Yeah, but she's also going to get fucking wrecked by a Demogorgon because...
Except that makes zero sense. That's not a part of her universe. Her universe is worrying about things happening to her children, which she then takes care of or makes sure that they understand.
So
right?
Your
That's
child being taken to the upside down doesn't...
Even prior to the Demogorgon and all that shit, Joyce Byers has made more sacrifices in her life for her kids. She has had to work harder to provide for them. And
that's horse shit. I'm sorry. That is absolute horse shit.
So you're going to say that
getting a PhD, becoming an English professor at a university is not hard work? It's not the same level of effort that goes into working at a hardware store that you're late to every day?
It is a great deal of effort, but she also had her husband and a butler to help raise those children. She didn't have to worry about
everything
cooking.
Joyce Byers has to worry about.
All of it.
Being able to afford groceries, let alone cooking them.
Yeah. Joyce was the only person raising those children. And again, coming from a single mom, mad respect.
You're not a single mom, Dan.
No, well, coming from
As the
a house.
product of a single mom?
Yeah, as a
Yeah.
product of a single mom.
Yeah, Joyce Byers still has my vote.
This might be the one vote that Matt has gotten really upset about.
He
He
if you
literally
notice,
put Vivian Banks.
he did move.
shit.
Just accidentally
Yeah,
move
he
forward
was-
Vivian
It's
Banks.
because it feels like you guys aren't giving her any kind of legitimacy, and you're only focusing on Joyce because Joyce happened to go to a different dimension to save one of her kids as the other one almost starves.
I mean, look, the same thing could be said about your argument against Sharon Osbourne.
That was my argument, wasn't it?
It was both of your
Well, I mean,
arguments.
yes, I guess
I
that's
didn't have
fair.
an argument against Sharon Osbourne. I had an argument for Mary Winchester. There was a difference.
Same. I don't have an argument against Vivian Banks. Again, I love Vivian Banks. Joyce Byers is just a better mom, willing to do more for her children.
All right. Well, get in the comments, bracketeers. I cannot be the only one who believes that Vivian Banks is getting fucked over.
Where
this
where
matchup.
can they find the comments, Matthew?
I don't know.
I don't know where you are.
Whoa,
But you
Siri.
can't show-
No one asked you. Okay, fine. Matt's going to be grumpy the rest of this. You can find us on all the social medias except for Twitter because fuck Elon Musk. We're on Blue Sky now. We're at all of them at Bracketology, BRACKETALLOGY. You can also find your individual hosts on there if Dan has figured out how to work a computer yet. We want to thank Aaron O'Donnell from Aaron O'Donnell Music for the tracks here at the open end of every episode. We want to thank Matt's mustache for amplifying his pouty face while he's upset about the last vote. And as always, we want to thank you for listening. While three guys with no expertise in anything tell you who the best TV mom is, continue to join us next week as we get into the. We didn't come up with something for the 8.
Eloquent 8.
Eloquent?
Emotional
Elegant?
8.
Elegant. The Elegant 8. I like that. Join us next week while we go through the Elegant 8. As always, I have been a co-host, Scott.
I'm a second co-host, Matt.
And I'm a third co-host, Dan.
Bye.
Solid.